Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
Gallaudet University suspends an employee for signing a marriage protection petition. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action. On the line today with me is Steve Crampton, Liberty Counsel's General Counsel and Vice President. Hey, Steve, good to have you on again, man.
Great to be with you again, Matt. Let's tear into this great story.
Wow, this is unbelievable, Steve. As you know, President T. Allen Hurwitz has suspended Gallaudet University's chief diversity officer, Dr. Angela McCaskill, because a homosexual publication got a hold of the list of people in Maryland who had signed a marriage petition that would seek to have the voters vote on a recently passed law that would allow same-sex marriage in the state of Maryland. And the president has suspended her for doing this, exercising her legal right to take part in the ballot initiative process. This is big news, and this is a big problem, isn't it?
It's a huge problem, and I think the fact that it occurs at a university underscores how far left our academic realm has gone. And the irony here of Dr. McCaskill being the chief diversity officer, exercising her fundamental constitutional rights, both of expression and the right to vote and to petition the government, and without even a hearing, any opportunity to present her side of the story, wham, the hammer falls on her. Apparently, Gallaudet likes diversity, but only of one particular stripe, huh?
Yeah, well, the president here, T. Allen Hurwitz, said this. He said, quote, "It recently came to my attention that Dr. McCaskill has participated in a legislative initiative some feel is inappropriate for an individual serving as chief diversity officer." Well, you know, how did this guy get a job as president of a university when apparently he doesn't even know that we have something called a First Amendment here in the United States? And secondly, when it's actually against the law to interfere with the elective politics with a ballot initiative process like this, Steve. The D.C. Code in Washington, D.C., for instance, says that, quote, "Any person who by threats or intimidation interferes with or attempts to interfere with the right of any qualified registered elector to sign or not to sign any initiative, referendum, or recall petition essentially may be considered for criminal violation, Steve, and up to $10,000 fine." I mean, this guy is really out of bounds here, isn't he?
Out to lunch. And what a tragedy. As you point out, this is the president of a university. And a university, again, ironically enough, that prides itself on its vision for and embracing of diversity. This is from its own mission statement. One of their goals is to embrace diversity within the university community by respecting and appreciating choices of communication and so forth. So, you know, they're so far at odds with their own goals here, they probably don't quite see what a laughingstock they have made of themselves here. And yet there is that disturbing side, as you pointed out, Matt. What was the purpose of the Washington Blade in publishing the names and addresses of every one of the 200-some-odd-thousand folks that signed that petition, other than to encourage just this sort of retaliation and intimidation for those of us who dare to believe in the virtue of traditional marriage?
Yeah, something the majority of Americans happen to believe, as polls continue to show. And as we know, for instance, that 32 states, Steve, have had a chance for we the people to vote on marriage. And 32 states have rejected the ridiculous and oxymoronic notion of so-called same-sex marriage. Now, let's bring it up to 30,000 feet here. Steve. Yeah. What does this say about the left and how they approach this debate over marriage? It seems that they, as far as they're concerned, there's only one side of the debate.
It's so true, Matt, and I'm afraid it's not just marriage. I think for all the rhetoric that is espoused in behalf of the rights of the people and free choice and all of that, these are the pro-choice people, as they call themselves. The truth is they abhor freedom when we come down to actually exercising rights of conscience, rights to vote here. And by taking these actions, I think what the president is doing, willingly or not, is intimidating anybody else on that faculty, perhaps among the student body, maybe even beyond their campus, against expressing your views and taking action in accordance with them when you disagree with now this politically volatile and powerful minority.
Well, now some people might look at, I read the law to you there in D.C. We know about voter intimidation and this kind of,
right.
I mean, the fact that this guy would do this, you have to look and say he's one of two things. He's just either not that bright, which I don't think that's the case. He didn't get to be Gallaudet University president, by accident, I would suspect. Or what he did is by design, and I think it's the latter. I think as a leftist, as we know, those on the left, they will send a shot over the bow of anybody else who might. So what are they trying to tell people here now? Do you think they're trying to instill fear in people who might in the future sign some kind of initiative like this?
Matt, I really do, but I would offer a third alternative for the president's actions. And I would say this. Look, that is a very political position as well, is it not? And he has to be very sensitive and responsive to his faculty and board, those that put him into office. And the way he phrased it, your quote, "It recently came to my attention." In other words, I think you've got the equivalent here of a heckler's veto. These folks that are pushing that radical leftist agenda that includes full recognition of same-sex marriage rights on homosexuals will basically stop at almost nothing in order to accomplish their goals. So I think they've engaged in some intimidation, arm twisting, and sort of a bending of Dr. Whatever his name is, his ear in order to accomplish their ends. And so he may be something of an unwitting participant and sort of a fall guy for them in this effort.
Well, there's an interesting irony here, and that is, of course, Gallaudet University is involved with hearing impaired. Dr. Angela McCaskill was, in fact, she's been with the university for, I think, 25 years, hearing impaired herself, African-American, disabled, hearing impaired, and a chief diversity officer. And now for her to suffer from this kind of illegal, unconstitutional discrimination, it does. The irony doesn't escape me. Does it escape you?
Absolutely not. And again, if they could do that to the chief diversity officer with a quarter century of apparently an unblemished record of service and really commendable action on behalf of the university, what does that say for the rest of us that may not even have those kinds of credentials? This is a remarkable woman, and I'm glad to see that she has retained legal counsel and is not going to rest easily with what they've done to her. It is an outrageous action, and the rest of the people on the left side or the right ought to come forward and say, this guy, the president, needs to be fired.
Well, I hope everyone listening right now understands that every time you hear somebody say, oh, this same-sex marriage thing, just let them have, if Steve wants to marry Paul, or Bob wants to marry Joe or whatever, just let them get married, that it doesn't hurt anybody, it doesn't hurt you. Now we see that those who take a traditional values view of human sexuality, the biblical view of human sexuality, that means that they have to be silenced. And Steve, we only got about 15, 20 seconds here, but your closing thoughts.
Matt, it's just what you say. We have got to become alert. This is not a benign sort of group that you just need, they just want to be left alone. No, they want to change society in their own image. We've got to stop them.
Well, Steve, we'll talk more later in the week. Folks, this is not a game. And as we see with Dr. McCaskill, people are being victimized in the name of promoting same-sex marriage. Go to Liberty Counsel's website. Ask for the book Same-Sex Marriage, Putting Every Household at Risk by Matt Staver, as illustrated by this example right now. In fact, same-sex marriage is putting people's livelihood at risk. We've talked about this week that it's putting children at risk in terms of same-sex familial situations, custody battles, and so forth. Go to lc.org or give us a call, 800-671-1776. Stand with us as we stand for marriage and family.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.